Hello everyone, today we will be talking about the Abandoned Shipwrecks Act. We will be focused on a ship called the Dub that is found off the coast of Wrightsville Beach that was known to be sailing around the 1800s. We believe the Dub was heading north from the Gulf of Mexico in order to hide their treasure somewhere. We believe North Carolina was an important location for them because it was just far enough so no other pirates would come looking for their treasure that far north. It was an important pirate ship that was found on the coast off of Wrightsville Beach due to the findings of artifacts along the shore following a storm. The ship was found in the 1980s, and there was a huge debate over who had the right to the ship. Then, in 1988, the Abandoned Shipwrecks Act was passed and gave ownership to the U.S. government.
Social stratification at the time of the ship consisted of Caucasian and African American males of English, Scottish, and African descent. The gentlemen on the ship, aged, ranged from 14 to 50, however, most were in their 20s. These men were of the lower social class and were dragged out to sea because of their desire to accumulate wealth. Though it is known that piracy was created to avoid fundamental social skills and escape conventional authority, most ships were run based on a democratic structure, meaning they took votes on who was in charge of certain tasks. Roles on the ship. At the top of the ranking is the captain. The captain is in command. He has authority over everyone on the ship. Because of his skills, daring personality, and the ability to win prizes such as gold and the booty, has gained him this position. Next under the captain is the quartermaster. The quartermaster is the captain's right-hand man. He's in charge of distribution of items such as rations, work, prizes, and punishment. Under him is the first mate. The first mate is second in command to the quartermaster. He was handpicked by him himself. Next up, you have the boatswain and the pilot. The boatswain is pretty much in charge of dealing with the ship. He's responsible for the colors, the deck and crew, as well as the riggings while the ship is in dock. Next is the pilot, who is the driver of the ship. Then the carpenter, who is in charge of keeping the ship tidy, and also all necessary repairs. Then there's the gunner. The gunner is a master at weaponry and is in charge of all the other gunners. Finally, there was a sea artist on board. The sea artist was not what you expected from the name. He was the ship's navigator. He excelled at collecting and reading charts and using navigation tools, such as compasses and maps.
In the early 1500s, there was a well-known pirate ship known as the Dub. This ship was so well known because of the fear it had created. The pirates had no regard for anybody's safety or well-being but themselves. The Dub was in search of new territory and had set course for what is now known as North Carolina. Because they had no way to detect the weather, the Dub unknowingly had set course right for a Category 5 hurricane. The ship most likely capsized way before it had even reached the storm itself due to the violent weather conditions. There were no reported survivors, and only pieces of the ship have been recovered to this day.
The legend of the Dub slowly died with the passage of time, until one day, while strolling along Wrightsville Beach, a local discovered what was found to be a cannonball and shattered pieces of pottery washed ashore by a recent storm. A team of underwater archaeologists were notified of the finding, and radar technologies were used to locate the remains of the ship. Using specialized methods like dredging sediments from the site to the surface to be sifted, and using hydraulic systems to pull artifacts to the surface for stabilization and analysis, the archaeologists were able to uncover a wealth of trinkets, tools, and supplies from the Dub. Most of the wood that made up the hull of the ship had been eaten by marine decomposers, though the sediment preserved enough of the frame that researchers approximated the size of the ship to be 60 feet long. A total of 10 cannons were found, along with swords and metal remnants believed to belong to pistols. Ammunition was scattered throughout the site, some clearly possessions of the pirate remains next to them. In total, skeletal remains of 4 crew members were found buried in the ocean floor, though accounts suggest the crew had at least 10 members aboard. Beyond that, evidence of a successful loot were found in the form of elaborately decorated pottery fragments, gold bars, silver and copper coins, and jewelry with international origins, suggesting that the ship had taken its time crossing the Atlantic, pillaging unfortunate merchant ships that crossed its path. Fragments of oak barrels were also recovered, which would have stored food, water, and alcohol for the crew's voyage. Many artifacts recovered are still undergoing heavy restoration and preservation attempts. Since most of what was recovered was preserved by anoxic sediments, the change in environment drastically increases the risk of the artifacts rapidly decomposing. Extra care and careful attention to detail is required to ensure that generations to come will be able to learn about the Dub and see firsthand the remnants of those brutal pirates.